Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Of the devotees that are here this morning, is there anyone here this morning that wasn't with us yesterday evening? A few. Okay. Well, yesterday evening was exhaustive. This is much shorter. And the topic is an important topic. Yesterday's topic, this principles of Rupa Goswami, and the theme of this particular retreat, enthusiasm, patience, and conviction, from Upadesha Amrita, Rupa Goswami's writing. Utsahan Nishchaya Daryat. So I requested those of you that did attend the class yesterday, how many of you made an effort in between when we ended and this morning to meditate on how these three principles can be specifically applied to our chanting of japa? How many did that exercise? I did that exercise. A little sharing from my side, I'll ask for volunteers. A little sharing from my side was, the foundation is enthusiasm. And without enthusiasm, it's pretty hard to chant consistently, regularly, what to speak of for a prolonged period of time and years and years. Passion fades, or getting started fades over time. In Mukunda Goswami's writing, one of the books that he wrote, and is about Srila Prabhupada in New York, San Francisco, and London. But the title of the book is Miracle on 22nd Avenue. So it just starts in New York, but he was a pioneer and a trusted, capable soldier in Prabhupada's army to move the mission forward. And Prabhupada was just directing him and using him as an instrument. So one of the things that he mentions in the epilogue is a concern. The concern is how many, he gave some estimate of how many persons who started or took vows and then faded over time. Substantial. It's easy that the enthusiasm in the beginning is, if it doesn't sustain, then it's not like it's false enthusiasm, utsaha mayi, but something else is needed to carry it forward, patience and conviction. So those three principles are fundamental principles for anything, and certainly for spiritual life, and because our topic is this chanting of the holy name, we're here for that purpose. We've come from different places for that purpose. How to sustain and increase and amplify so that we don't become one of those sad statistics that's started and then shrugged our shoulders and moved on, or slackened. We'll be discussing that point as we go forward. Slackening in submission, slacking in enthusiasm. It's an unwanted weakness. So this morning, more this morning than yesterday evening, I was meditating a lot on the principle of enthusiasm and the enthusiasm applied to the chanting of the holy name because of what it represents. It's restoring that which was forgotten, and it's something so fundamental that, like, who we are. Because I got absorbed in there's a quote that I heard recently, and I didn't get time to look it up. But Socrates speaks about purpose and he speaks about enthusiasm. Without knowing where you're going, without a purpose. So we're going to be discussing that, enthusiastic for what? So the enthusiasm topic, for those of you that weren't with us, a very nice definition: endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness equals enthusiasm. Very nice, very simple definition. Endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. So the goal is clear, and exactly what intelligence is, some further refinement of what does that mean, but it means that which takes you to the goal. And so scripture and so forth, the guidance of our spiritual teachers provides intelligence. Super soul provides intelligence to help us get to the goal, to get to Him. With enthusiasm, endeavor in that way. And then when the endeavor in that way is there's some connection. Krishna sees, Krishna reciprocates. So the endeavor is a very important starting point. The enthusiasm is a very important starting point to do anything. And I'll look again for this quote from Socrates, because, going way back, he's not a Vedic authority, but he certainly had an understanding of the soul different than the body, and lived his life accordingly. So, with that little review, enthusiasm, patience, dhairyat, and with conviction or determination, nishchayat. Three principles. That's our theme for this japa retreat. So now we're moving on to enthusiasm. A principle or a target of enthusiasm is very simple. Prabhupada, on a number of occasions, would say, spiritual life is simple for the simple and difficult for the crooked. Difficult for the crooked. Kautilyam, difficult for the crooked. So the chanting is offering to Krishna His name. Really simple. Offering Krishna His name with love. And then this additional phrase, from the heart. one of the members of the audience here, I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he sent me a recording of from the what do they call it? Madhava's participation in the kirtan that they have at Radhadesh. What do they call that? Radhadesh. What's it called? Radhadesh Mellows. Okay, yeah. And I've listened to that kirtan like 20 times because Madhava does this. He offers Krishna's name with love from the heart, and during the course of a 45-minute kirtan, or however long it was, many times, in between his singing and inviting the audience to respond, he would say, from the heart. Meaning that's his meditation, because he's, you can feel it. It's very attractive. His voice isn't like superlative voice like some kirtaniers, but the devotion is superlative from the heart. So that's our topic for this morning, and it's much shorter, but it's important. You see, there's the heart on the left side, and there's a doorway, and then there's this person with their arms outstretched, as we sometimes do during kirtan, or just even our pranam mantras in the beginning. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there he is, his arms outstretched. And to whom is he offering? He's offering to Krishna. Now there's two embedded recordings, and we're going to do a little sound check and see what happens. This is Prabhupada, a little recording, it's Vanipedia message of Prabhupada, chanting every name with love. Let's see what happens. So the message for this morning is chanting from the heart. And there are different ways of expanding or extending this message. Here's one way. There's a little man walking on a tightrope. On one side is heart and the other side is the head, or the brain. At times we act from the platform of the mind, other times we act from the platform of the heart. Now, enthusiasm that's not properly directed, that can be problematic, can be fanaticism, and can lead to bad results for individual and those who bump into that individual. In our relationship with Krishna, we choose to act and serve from the heart while directing our mind to him. So the directing of the mind is the function of intelligence. When things are in proper order, sometimes things aren't in proper order, and the mind goes wherever it wants to go. And the intelligence is screaming and the mind is running, the distracted mind. But in relationship with Krishna, it starts from the heart. And then when it's clear, intelligence is provided. And it's not, I remember 1970, one devotee that had association with Prabhupada said to this devotee, if you simply chant one name out of the mantra or one mantra with full attention, that is the stage of perfection. It's offenseless chanting. He didn't use the word offenseless, but with full absorption. So this devotee was kind of coaching me, saying, basically the same principle of enthusiasm. Strive to hear one mantra perfectly. So this other phrase comes, one mantra at a time. You can't worry about the mantras that you didn't chant so nicely and plan to chant the ones better in the future. You chant the one mantra at a time. Be with absorption. Be present with the mantra and thus not distracted. But then what happens when you get distracted? Because none of what we do is distracted. And distracted has everything to do with other shelters. If you remember from yesterday, this singular focus on Krishna is my shelter and I have no other shelters. If we have other shelters, that's where the mind is going to go, because it's a place of shelter. So it takes practice, and then distraction is part of the experience of the mind that's distracted by stuff. So then bring it back, etc., etc. But that's an intelligence function, bring the mind back. And then there's the heart. So the emphasis this morning is from the heart. The journey, bhakti journey, the process of bhakti, continuous devotional service to Krishna. So this is this nishchayat, or sustained over time, prolonged. I can't think of a scriptural reference to verify the following. It seems to me, we don't like it seems to me statements, but it seems to me that this utsahan nishchayat daryat very much resembles something that chronologically prior to Rupa Goswami was Patanjali. And Patanjali, celebrated author authority on the yoga system, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, described practice, which is what we're discussing. And there's three parts. By definition, something that's done every day, something that's done every day over a prolonged period of time, and something that's done every day over a prolonged period of time with faith, with confidence it's going to get you to where you want to go. It's important to know where you want to go. I like using the metaphor of a GPS because it's something that we all use regularly. You can get in your car, and some cars you don't have to have a gadget, it's just built into the car, and it's on the screen of the car, and it tells you where you are. If you don't put in the destination, it'll tell you where you are on the highway. But then you add the destination, then it'll tell you when to turn left and turn right to get to, because you have a destination. So if you don't know the destination, the GPS works, but it won't tell you how to get to where you want to go. You have to enter the destination. We're going to touch on this in the course of our time together about sankalpa, the purpose behind what we're doing, and how, as enthusiasm is most important, having a destination is most important. Enthusiastic for what? And different persons will have different ideas of what the destination is. But bhakti has its definition. That's where we're going with this morning's presentation. From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You all know the verse. Anyabilashata shunyam jnana karmadya navratam anukulyena Krishna nushilanam bhakti uttama. Let's say the verse together. Anyabilashata shunyam jnana karmadya navratam anukulyena Krishna nushilanam bhakti uttama. The highest bhakti is defined as continuous service or emotions directed towards Krishna, his expansion forms or others related to him, with a pleasing attitude towards Krishna. That's the second half. The first half, it should be devoid of desires, what bhakti is not, devoid of desires other than the desire to please the Lord, and unobstructed by impersonal gyan, the materialistic rituals of karma, and other unfavorable acts. So that's an interesting translation of the verse. There's simpler translations. Now, yesterday we saw this nice image of the head and the heart. So here's the same idea. It's a different graphic, the head and the heart. The sadhaka, that's us, how to deal with this distraction struggle that we undergo. Here's a nice prayer. By my previous shameful life, my heart is polluted with many illusory attachments. Personally, I have no power to stop them. Only you, Harinam, within my heart, can remove such inauspicious contamination. But whether you remove such attachments immediately or let me go on being afflicted by them, I will never give up my devotional service to you. Even if you place millions of obstacles on my path, in my path, and even if, because of my offenses, I go to hell, I will never for a moment stop serving you. I'm not interested in mental speculation and fruitive activities. Even if Lord Brahma personally comes before me offering such engagements, I will not be even slightly interested. Although I'm attached to material things, I can see very clearly that they lead to no good because they simply give me trouble and disturb my devotional service to you. Therefore, I sincerely repent my foolish attachments to so many material things, and I'm patiently awaiting your mercy. So that's the prayer of patience. With humility and honesty and transparency. So that's humility and patience along with this enthusiasm from yesterday. Take some practice and some good direction. To chant or to serve from the heart, we need to align our consciousness with the heart of bhakti. Alignment's a nice word. So there's Let's do this. Here's a nice graphic. On the left, there's hearts, and on the right, there's concentric hearts. And at the center, that's the supersoul. What's at the heart of bhakti? Well, peripherally, this is this definition of bhakti. There's the 9 processes of bhakti. Those are the anushilanam, the alignment of the 9 processes of bhakti. And then there's the object, aligned with Krishna, Krishna anushilanam. And then anukalyena, very important, that's at the heart, it's the heart of the heart of the heart, that Krishna should be pleased. So it's not, there's vidhis, there's rules, and then do's and do nots, and processes of bhakti. There's defining the object, but then there's the heart. That is, Krishna should smile. And in that scenario, that's at the heart of bhakti. If we can align the practices and the objective with Krishna is to be pleased, that's at the heart. So similarly, what's at the heart of carefully chanting? Because that's the verse of carefully chanting. Bhakti, that's Krishna should be pleased. At the heart of carefully chanting is that Krishna should be pleased. Once we reawaken our inherent intention to please Krishna, we can carry out our actions from the platform of the heart. So it's, in one sense, it's a decision, but the decision is love. That's why hearts. Relationship with Krishna out of love, because we're eternally related and somehow we've forgotten. And to remove the forgetfulness and thereby restore the remembrance, the heart is needed. I want to be in this relationship with Krishna. The primary action necessary to become closer to Krishna is chanting His name. There are different activities, but for this age particularly, most effective is the chanting of the name. In our loving relationship with Krishna, we strive to carry out our actions from a place of love, not merely duty. That's not this hackneyed chanting that Prabhupada was speaking about. Because that was one of the topics from yesterday. You know, the why question. Well, you know, there are different answers to the why question. That I chant because it's good for me, or I made a vow and I have to keep true to my vow, or it's my duty, or some things that are not connecting with the heart. Dutiful. And nothing wrong with dutiful, but it's not complete. It's not going to sustain. Mode of goodness is mixed with other modes of nature, and those other modes of nature will take over. We are not able to call out the holy name with complete attention and surrender because we have false shelters. And it's true. In order to accept our true original shelter, we need to let go of the false, impermanent ones. It's really simple. Supposing I was thirsty. I'm not thirsty, so don't worry about it. But I'm holding on to this little slide changer. And if I wanted to get some water, I have to let go of the slide changer so I can pick up the water, drink the water because I'm thirsty. Similarly, the mind is occupied with, you name it. You know, according to Bhagavad Gita, the mind carries conceptions of life. So I've got many conceptions of life. What are those conceptions of life based upon? How I've lived my life. Previously, I'm carrying those conceptions, or I've had some association. somebody has, or groups of people have a certain conception of life. So the tendency is to carry that. A little bit, it's not the same, but a little bit like Prabhupada, when he was a young man, college student, in his time, the Swaraj, the India's independence from the British was a big deal. And Prabhupada was, by that influence, he was a Gandhi follower. And then something happened. He met Bhaktisiddhanta. And he became a Bhaktisiddhanta follower and let go of Swaraj. Although he knew about it, he let go. So that so things that conceptions that we carry, and have an understanding of why some people feel like this and some other people feel like that, and the bottom line is what's pleasing to Krishna. I've become an advocate of, again, in part by association, but there are devotees that had very intimate association with Prabhupada, and they've written books about what he was really like. I mean, the inside story of being in intimate association with Prabhupada. And it's amazing. It's heartwarming and educational, and it moves the heart. I mean, one of the things I like about these books is I cry a lot. Because the affection these devotees have for Prabhupada and the things that Prabhupada did to touch their hearts, just so wonderful. And little things brought them into Prabhupada's heart, and Prabhupada he extended himself to them. And he shared, here's one, here's two, here's five, but Vishaka had been away from Prabhupada for some period of time because of some service, some photography service, because that was she and her husband were doing that as a service, filmmaking and photography and so forth. So she was off doing some project, and she came to be with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was in his room, and Juhu, and it was an upper floor, and it was a nice place, with nice breeze, etc. So she came to Prabhupada, came to see Prabhupada, and she had that intimacy. She just came, Anyway, so there, and she paid obeisances, and Prabhupada stopped what he was doing to acknowledge her presence, and within a joyful way, greeted her, and how are you doing? There's the conventional, hey, Haribol, how's it going, kind of thing. But it was very personal. And she started to cry and said, just being in your presence, I'm fine. And Prabhupada sat back, closed his eyes, and was silent. What's he going to say? Please don't sit with your back to the deity, to Vyasa-san. Thank you. So Prabhupada sat back, closed his eyes, with his eyes silent for some time, and then he said, I'm also feeling the presence of my spiritual master. I mean, That's our founder Acharya. That intimate moment, sharing his heart. It's like fantastic. So that's all the while he was doing what he was doing. That was what was inside. That's from the heart. And then there's what he did, and the way that he did what he did with expertise and empowerment by Krishna. But the empowerment came from what was in his heart. That's a practical example. Here's another practical example. I mean, I hope you like Prabhupada's stories. This is a story that was shared by Shrutakirti. It's become one of my favorites. He was the MC. It's a service that he does from time to time. So he's based in Vrindavan, but he came all the way to Boston for the 60th. He was, invited to be the MC. The 60th anniversary of Prabhupada's arrival in Boston Harbor. It was a nice festival, and devotees came from all over the place. And they had us sit in a boat, a big boat with a big kind of auditorium thing just down below. And then eventually the boat went out into the harbor, but, with a microphone and an amplification system, he was calling people to come forward and tell something, Prabhupada something. And in between, sometimes he would say. So one of his in-between sets was one time Prabhupada was very ill. Sometimes he was quite animated. Sometimes he was ill. And he had not eaten for 10 days. And the devotees were concerned. He kind of get very weak, and his age and this and that. So in a very soft voice, because Prabhupada would ring a bell and Shrutakirti would come, paid his obeisances. And Prabhupada said, "Can you make some utma for me?" He's not a cook. And Prabhupada knew it. "Can you make some utma for me?" And Shrutakirti's reply was, "Yes, Prabhupada. Just over there in the kitchen, Jamuna is in the kitchen, and she can make some. You've already taught her how to make." Prabhupada cut him off and said, "No, I want you." "Yes, Prabhupada." So he went to the kitchen, and then Shrutakirti informed Jamuna. This is heart touching. So get ready to cry. Jamuna, Prabhupada wants to. "Oh, fantastic! I can do it very quickly." And Shrutakirti repeated, "No, Prabhupada wants me to." And she didn't say, "Wait a minute, you never cooked anything." She didn't say. In his sharing of this, it was two things. What is the meditation of Jamuna? Prabhupada wants, that's it. That's it. No question. Wait a minute. None of that. Just Prabhupada wants. That's it. It's great. So I can help you. And so, she did it, and he did it. And then he brought the udma, offered it, and brought it to Prabhupada, and sat on a bowl very near his bed where for 10 days he's not eaten. And then he left, did some other service, and came back, paid obeisances, and the bowl was still sitting there. And he, politely said, "Prabhupada, you haven't eaten anything." And then Prabhupada, in his weak voice, said, "I thought if you made it for me, then I might get an appetite." But no appetite. He wasn't faulting him. He touched his heart. Not just utma, or Jamuna makes utma, but you. because of the intimacy of their service with one another. It's just a loving gesture. And it's stuck in his heart, naturally. So, serve as a personal servant of Srila Prabhupada, who's intimately would touch the heart of persons who were serving him, and vice versa. That's, from the heart. There's other examples, but they're wonderful. And you have to let go of impermanent and false other shelters. Otherwise, you'll be distracted. And that's not nice. It's not satisfying, and it's not pleasing to the other person either. Shri Radha Nilamadava ki jai. Once we let go of false shelters and our minds, senses, and emotions are directed by a singular purpose, what's that? The intention to please Krishna, we can call out the holy name from the core of the heart. When we offer our soul, our very self, at the lotus feet of the holy name, in a mood of complete surrender, inattentive and mechanical chanting will cease. Say it converse. Until we do that, inattentive and mechanical chanting will continue. So that's, how do you get there? With intent that Krishna should be pleased. And supposing you're not there yet with the intention that you practice. And when you find yourself in La La Land, you bring the mind back, aligned with intelligence, aligned with the heart, that Krishna is to be pleased. In principle, it's simple, and then it takes practice. But how do you it sounds contradictory. Practice from the heart? Pardon me. But practice sounds like mechanical. And heart doesn't sound mechanical. My heart is not mechanical. So we follow some vidhis, some do's and do nots, to get to the more spontaneous, natural, eternal relationship with Krishna stage of things. Acting from the heart means to act from a place of who we are. We are eternally servants of the all-knowing, all-loving, all-attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Just ask Gopa Kumar, he'll tell you all about it. With a prayerful attitude, try to call upon Krishna from the core of your heart. My dear Krishna, this is the same fellow reaching up as that initial slide. I am your eternal servant. Allow me to serve you by chanting your loving holy name. Now, what the call is, Krishna's name is offered to Krishna. That's the starting point from this morning's presentation. It's quite simple. Please accept me. Another way of saying, in very simple language. I remember once very clearly, there was a japa retreat in Seattle. And during the 64 round day, there was one Mataji that periodically would reach her arms up in the air like this. And then privately I asked her, what was that about? And she said, this is what she said. It's kind of a fallback position. When the pause and I see that I'm distracted by a zillion things, Krishna, please accept me. And then with that pause, then refocusing and aligning the heart with the activity. You know, it doesn't have to be that kind of a gesture, but it's a principle, from the heart principle. 2 types of chanting: without affection and with affection. Kevala and Sneha Samyukta, those are Bhaktivinoda Thakur terms. And we're going to end with this. Here's a nice graphic. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his Vachaka form, gradually and naturally we will be invested with a potency which gradually and naturally will be invested with a potency which will touch and transform the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. This is the heart-to-heart relationship. So Prabhupada gave so much emphasis on preaching. And the Hare Krishna explosion happened because of that dynamic and, ever increasing dynamic. And he would emphasize that to others, to all of us. I mean, besides those that had his direct personal, all the rest of us that didn't have all of that intimate association, it was very clear what he wanted. And in letters and in other forms, he would repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. He wanted, as he was doing, to extend himself and us to extend ourselves to bring bhakti into the lives of people who are suffering because of misguided lives. So it starts with inside, and then once it's inside, by making that connection with Krishna in his sound vibration form, you carry that and you can touch the hearts and minds of others. Your preaching will be more effective. So here's the same message in a different graphic to emphasize. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his Vachaka form, gradually and naturally we will be invested with a potency which will touch and transform the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. So a heart-to-heart relationship starts from something that's within. And look at this is the same message. There's a reason. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his Vachaka form, sound, gradually and naturally we will be invested with a potency which will touch and transform the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. A phrase, a Sanskrit phrase that Prabhupada used from time to time was this: Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve is the vocative of sarva, that everyone should become happy. That everyone become happy. And that was Prabhupada's gift. That was like, along with his relationship with Bhaktisiddhanta, it was being motivated to people who are unnecessarily suffering to become freed from suffering. So this is connecting the preaching message to the chanting message, chanting of japa message. We can be better instruments the more we have that personal connection. Here's another one of these Vanipedia recordings. This is a interesting photograph of an interesting person, Bangsidas Babaji. Bangsidas Babaji was a total detached person. And Prabhupada had awareness of him. He's going to say something about Bangsidas Babaji and his very personal touch with his deity. Here we go.
Krishna, just like Madan Mohan. He was talking with Sanatana Goswami. Madan Mohan, Sanatana Goswami at that time had no temple. He was hanging his deity on the tree. So Madan Mohan was talking with him, Sanatana, you are bringing all these dry chapatis and it is stale and you don't give me even little salt. How can I eat? Sanatana Goswami says, sir, where shall I go? Whatever I get, I offer you. You kindly accept. I cannot move, old man. So Krishna had to eat that. Because the bhakta is offering, he cannot refuse. Jimam bhaktya prajit. Real thing is bhakti. What you can offer to Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. What you have got? What is your value? And what is the value of your things? There is nothing. Therefore, the real thing is bhaktya. Real thing is your feeling. Krishna, kindly take it. I have no qualification. I am most rotten fallen. But I applaud this thing for you. Please take. This will be accepted. Don't be perfect. Always be careful. You are dealing with Krishna. That is my request. Thank you very much.
So that's our topic for this morning. And I think we have some time. If there are some questions from either from yesterday, because we didn't have time yesterday, or from this morning, discussion time.
Maharaj, I want to ask, what is heart? Like in Bhagavad Gita, it is said of mind, false ego, and intelligence. But where is place for heart? Like, is it?
Practical question. I don't know of any shastric definition of what heart means. There's a general sense. It has everything to do with the phrase, Anukoyena Krishna Anushilanam. That is, the intention that Krishna should be pleased. That's the heart. Or whatever the intention is, that's the heart. So for us, it's absorption in Krishna should be pleased. And association and service unto those who have that heart, that intention, that purpose, then our heart can change. The direction of our life can change. The purpose of our life can change. The fulfillment, the ongoing living of our life can change from the heart. The intention that Krishna should be pleased, at least in terms of bhakti. Okay?
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, yesterday you mentioned about the enthusiasm.
I mentioned about
Enthusiasm?
enthusiasm. Yeah, I did.
In day-to-day life, in work or anything, we start with enthusiastically do the things, but after some time it becomes very anxious about the results. How do we differentiate the enthusiasm with the anxious?
What is it that you? So the answer to this question is attachment. and if there's attachment in the material conception of life, the attachment goes to the result. And a good result means, at least potentially, my anticipation is I'm going to be happy because I want a good result, and a good result is coming, and so I'm happy. So it's happiness, but it's result oriented. And then the result doesn't come and I get the opposite. So the attachment to the result. So enthusiasm, or there isn't attachment to the result. What's that? It's otherworldly or transcendental. There's still attachment, but attachment to, transcendence, or attachment to the supreme, or, there's different ways of answering that. But the closer the definition of attachment to fill in the blank space, then it becomes where the result is not the issue. It's pleasing the person. Yes. That's the issue. It's love becomes the issue. And that's the movement of the heart is to please the beloved, the object of love. So the medium or the doorway is the spiritual master, or the teachings from the teacher, because that helps align us to Krishna should be pleased. The representative of Krishna is a very important direction-giving feature in the life of bhakti. So does that answer your question? Okay. Several hands up.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, thank you so much for the wonderful session. My question is, when we say our intention of devotional service is to please Krishna. So Krishna is he is all blissful.
Krishna is?
Krishna is like Atmaram. He's
already blissful.
Yeah.
So what can you do to please him?
Yeah.
That's your point?
Yes.
It's love. He's full, Purnam. And so there's the ocean, and here comes a river. And the ocean is already full. So what's the point of the river? Because the ocean is already full. But the fullness of Krishna doesn't, because he's Purnam, he's not limited. The fullness of his happiness is not limited. That is, he's a person and has loving feelings towards those who love him, and it increases. It's already unlimited, like the rivers flowing into the ocean. There's an interesting topic, The ocean doesn't keep, rivers all over the world keep flowing into oceans. And the tide doesn't generally, there's exceptions, a tsunami and stuff, but it just comes up to and then recedes. It doesn't overflow. Where does all that water go to? Isn't that a good question? There's an answer, but that's another class. But so, Krishna is full. And an aspect of his fullness is loving exchanges with others. And he likes. That's part of his fullness. Don't limit the unlimited. That's a mistake. Someone over here?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the session. So we all have a sadhana practice every day, but when we fall sick, we are not able to maintain that. So my question is like, what should be our mood post sickness when we are recovered? Should we feel
Should we?
So there's a part where we feel guilty of missing those services, but at the same time, we also have to catch up on the missing things. So what should be our perspective to serve? Because when we are serving, we have that connection, that sweetness, that peace or joy, that mood with which we serve. But when we are sick, the body is not able to
Perform.
experience that sweetness. We are missing that sweetness. But when we recovered, do we feel the guilt of the days we missed? Or should we look at it like I have to catch up on the rounds that I didn't?
Better give the microphone. So you don't want you to cry in the microphone. My answer to a question like this is it depends. And what are some of the variables that are dependent? Now, how serious is the sickness? How prolonged is the sickness? What is that service that's not being taken care of? Is it a service that's, supposing there's a pujari and you find a replacement. If there's some services, you're speaking about japa, but I'm speaking broadly because it happens. There are some people I know have chronic illness, and sometimes it is one thing, and sometimes it's the next thing and the next thing. It just have that kind of health circumstance of life. Specific to chanting, again, it depends on how prolonged and how serious. But there's a prayer that one can offer to Krishna, depending upon the circumstance. Krishna understands, and as much as you can, depending upon your circumstance, making up the rounds that were missed is an ideal thing to do. But what about before we became a devotee and all those rounds we didn't chant before we became a devotee? How do you make up for that? So depends on the circumstance. And in principle, try your best, even if you're not well, to complete daily. And sometimes, circumstantially, it's not possible. Sometimes. But Prabhupada gave this standard. Health, sadhana, service. So it depends on what the health situation is. Okay? Okay. Yes, last question. Two questions and we're going to end because of time.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class.
Thank you for coming.
Krishna. So as we practice associating with the Vachaka form of Krishna, and our heart should naturally become soft. But sometimes I find myself, my heart becoming me becoming hard-hearted. So what's that key factor that I'm doing wrong, which is causing this to happen?
Madhurya Kandambani answers in this way. Principally, in primary and secondary. Primary, it's offense, and secondary, it's sin, or engaging in prohibited activities. So, commonly, it's offense. So that's what's happening, and then what to do is be aware of what the offenses are, and strive, because Krishna will reciprocate with your striving. This endeavor topic from yesterday. Krishna will see, and Krishna will help. So knowing what the offenses are and striving to overcome the offenses, and serving elevated Vaishnavas, and all the other sadhana practices, hearing scripture and so forth. Help will help. But even supposing there's a certain one of those 10 offenses, that gets a whole discussion about what the 10 offenses are. Inattention is one of the, pervasive ones. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. Yesterday, I have seen a slide where it mentioned, I will fix the broken connection with Krishna. So
I will do what?
I will fix broken connection with Krishna.
Well, the language is important, but go ahead.
Okay.
How can we fix such a thing? That's your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Language.
Are we capable of that?
No. We can extend this is like this voice of humility, that prayer of patience. I'm broken. The relationship is broken. I'm in the doghouse. My character is, not nice. Despite all those negatives, then there's the commitment. So that the restoring is the however weak and deficient one may be, let me strive in this way. Being encouraged by Guru Sadhu Shastra, let me strive in this way. And Krishna will see. So it's a relationship where you can't fix a relationship, but when Krishna is loving and he sees that attempt sustained over time, it's a relationship, so it's two-way, not just one way. I think that addresses your question. Because of his nature is kindness. So we're going to end.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Here.
What happened?
We have one online question.
An online question? Okay, you surprised me. Startled me. What was that?
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Sometimes when I pronounce Hare as Hare Krishna, and sometimes really slow, it becomes Hare is the sound. Is it an offense if one cannot pronounce the name Hare properly during japa?
No, it's not an offense. And the answer is, Krishna knows, or Radharani knows, or they know. So the intention is the essence, not the pronunciation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We're going to hear the schedule. Don't get up and run away yet.
Thank you, Maharaj. So as Maharaj indicated, Maharaj,